everyone, so today I wanted to make an experience video, I guess you could say, about how I managed to collect over 2,600 dolls. Last I counted, that's how many I had. It could be off by a bit by now. So I have Maya here today. You guys have not seen her. I got her at the flea market on Sunday, and her and Caroline have just been chilling out with me the past few days because I need to rearrange some things in my room in order to accommodate the addition of these two. But they're going to be my little buddies. I get a lot of questions from people in comments, wondering how I got so many dolls, or people expressing interest in having as many as me or having larger collections. So I thought that maybe if you're just curious, or if you would like to know how I managed to collect so many dolls, that maybe this video is helpful or just entertaining. I also want to say that I in no way ever intended to have like 2,600 dolls. That wasn't a personal goal of mine. I guess I just never really stopped buying them and collecting them. It just sort of kept happening. I kept adding dolls to the collection, and then at some point I counted and it was, this ridiculous number. This is my experience on how I collected this many dolls, and take that as you will. So let's get into it. So obviously, having this many dolls doesn't happen overnight. I didn't magically wake up one day and win the lottery and go out and buy 2,000 dolls. That didn't happen. You have to keep in mind that I'm 25 years old and I got my first Barbie when I was 2. And I also have co-collected with my sister my entire time that I've been into dolls. So there were two of us who were into dolls and buying dolls. And she is 4.5 years older than me, and she had a few dolls before I did, so obviously that contributes too. I only had a 5-year break from dolls, so basically that's 18 years of collecting that you're seeing. I'm just really into dolls. It's the level of interest I have. This isn't a side thing for me or one of many hobbies. If I had to describe how I feel about my doll collection, I would say it's a way of life. It's a lifestyle, and it always has been a lifestyle. And that might sound really weird to some of you who maybe like them as decor or have a lot of other interests, but for me, my main interest was pretty much always dolls. Even over other toys, over other activities, it was always dolls. And once I got back into dolls after a break, they quickly took over my life again. I'm always talking about my dolls, I'm always doing stuff with my dolls, and obviously that's going to affect how much money and time I spend with them, which is obviously going to impact how many I have. That being said, I don't spend a lot of money on other stuff, and I'm not trying to justify how much money I spend on dolls. I think that whatever you want to spend your money on, go for it. I'm just saying that for me, buying things like makeup or clothes or going out to eat or doing things like going to the zoo or going places or going on vacation, I don't spend money on those things really. I'm a very minimalistic person in other aspects of my life. I'm not one who likes to go out. I'm not one who likes to go out and eat. I'm not someone who cares a whole lot about spending money on other things. Dolls are my main hobby, and a lot of times I'll save money in other areas of my life intentionally, knowing that way I'll have more to spend on my dolls, if that makes sense. So, for instance, my sister and I don't have cable TV. We don't have Netflix, we don't have anything. We literally have a TV that we plug in and watch movies on, and that's because we just don't watch it. We watch movies pretty frequently, but we'd rather have the cheap DVDs that we get secondhand. And I also buy most of my clothes secondhand. We don't use a lot of electricity because it's the two of us. I have ways to save money with my pets. I don't buy bedding for my guinea pigs. I use fleece that I rewash. So basically, I cut corners in other places of my life so that I can buy more dolls. And when I have more money to spend on dolls, then I can obviously purchase more, and my collection grows as a result. That being said, when I was a kid and my parents would buy me things for birthdays or Christmas or for rewards, I almost always 99.9% of the time picked dolls. That was just what I was into. I only can remember a handful of occasions that I really wanted some other toy more than dolls, but they almost always won out. It also helps that like I personally have a wide variety of interests within dolls. If you've watched my channel at all, if you have seen my Flickr, I have a lot of different types of dolls, and I'm not by any means claiming to have the most diverse collection, but I do have a lot of like sub-interests within the branch of dolls. So I have like a ton of American Girl dolls, I love Monster High, I love Bratz dolls, I love Disney dolls, I love Barbie, I love all of like those Barbie affiliated people like Ken and Skipper and Kelly and Stacy. I love celebrity dolls. I love strawberry shortcake dolls. I have just tons of like mini collections within my large doll collection. And the thing about liking a lot of things is that it's easier to buy stuff that way. So I tried when I first got back into collecting dolls in 2011 to exclusively collect and display Disney dolls. The problem with only collecting Disney dolls for me was that it really like limited what I could buy. So when I would go out to the flea market, it's not like every time I go to the flea market I'm going to see a Disney doll, or every time I go to the store there's going to be a Disney doll that I want. It's harder to like build a collection if you're only like hyper focusing on one thing, and not to say that you can't have like thousands of Disney dolls or thousands of Monster High. It's just they're less accessible that way, because if you're an opportunistic sort of collector like me, you're eventually gonna like run out of things to buy. And I can compare this to me and my sister because we're totally different people with our interests. I've always been the sort of person where I like to dabble in a lot of different things. So for me it was like trying different types of dolls. When my Scene dolls came out, I had them. I had Bratz dolls, I loved Disney dolls, I loved the celebrity dolls. I tried Strawberry Shortcake as a kid, I had Kelly dolls, Chrissy dolls. Anytime there was like a new type of doll, like Flavas, I would be on it. Like I wanted to have one, I wanted to see what they were like. That was just the sort of person that I was. Whereas my sister has always been like very, very hyper focused. And so she would only collect Skipper dolls. And what would happen is when she was like, you know, a teenager and she would only buy like Skipper dolls, eventually she'd maxed out everything that was in the stores. She'd have bought everything that she could possibly buy, and then there was nothing else to have. So my dad always had like a really easy time buying me gifts, because you could buy me really any type of doll and I would be happy. Whereas my sister was very particular. Even with her Harry Potter collection, she has a very like big Harry Potter collection. She would hyper focus on one like particular type of Harry Potter merchandise. So she only originally liked the stuff made for Chamber of Secrets and Sorcerer's Stone, and nothing for the later movies. So obviously that limited what she could buy. And I'm not saying that one technique is better, because for me, like, I couldn't limit myself that way, and I've tried and it just doesn't work. I'm just saying that, you know, that's part of why I have so many dolls, because if you think about it, if I cut out everything but my Bratz, I would have less than 1,000 dolls. That's like, you know, more than half of my collection that isn't Bratz. It goes to show you how into Bratz I am, though, because I have so many. It's like American Girl. Only 34 of my dolls in my whole collection are American Girl. So obviously, focusing on one area, one type of doll, is going to affect how many you're getting, because especially if it's something that they don't make a lot of new stuff for, like historical American Girls. They don't come out with those all the time. Or something that gets discontinued, like Liv. Once you have all the Liv dolls, like, that's it. There's no more to collect. Another thing that's a really big reason to why I have so many dolls and why I can like buy so many is that I wait for sales. And I am not claiming to be like good with my money, because I'm not. I love buying stuff, and if I really, really want something, I don't wait for it to go on sale. But something that I've learned in the past like 2 years, I've been really good at like practicing this particular technique, is waiting for things to get marked down. I have gotten so many more dolls because of this. I'm not the sort of person that ever like needed to be at the store the day something just came out anyways, because I like secondhand stuff. I kind of am more endeared to things that have like warm shelves, and by that point they're usually getting marked down anyways. But when I like got into Monster High collecting, say for example, I was like obsessed with them to the point of like needing to run out to the store all the time to buy them. And I realized within that short like few first months that I was collecting them that like, hey, these dolls are getting marked down, and that made me think, well, I could have more dolls if I waited. So I will wait until things are significantly cheaper. If you've watched some of my like store hauls here, you'll see that I've gotten some Monster High dolls for like $4. So I can get like sometimes, $5 for the price that one originally retailed for. And if more is more to you, that's always a good way to get more, is by waiting. I have bought a lot of Bratz stuff recently, the 2015 Bratz, because they all got slashed to like half off, 70% off from Toys R Us's website, and I'll time that with like their free shipping offers if you spend over $19. I always think of ways to like save money on dolls, although it's not really saving money because I still spend a lot, but you know what I mean. This also kind of leads into secondhand collecting. I am a big secondhand collector. About 60% of my doll collection is like purchased secondhand. It's probably more than that by now. By buying them secondhand, they can be cheaper, and I'm not saying that secondhand dolls are always cheaper because I have seen some very expensive secondhand dolls, but you can get them marked down. You can get some like brand new dolls that have only been out a year for like a few dollars. You can get entire lots of secondhand dolls for really, really cheap, and that's what I do. I buy in bulk. I love lots. If you didn't know this already, my sister and I are obsessed with finding, like, we call them like bins of dolls at the flea market. So you can get a ton of dolls for very, very little money, and that's what we've done. So I can think of like 3 big instances where I've gotten a ton of dolls. So the first one was when I got into Bratz collecting. My dad took me out to a Craigslist seller's house where they had their entire Bratz collection, and there was like 74 dolls, I believe, in that lot. 74, and I think it was like $100 for all of them, which is good. The dolls equaled out to, a little more than $1 each, I think, if I'm doing my math right. Less than $2 each, basically, and some of them had like all their clothing pieces. And at the time, I had like maybe 30 Bratz dolls, I can't remember, but basically my collection kept increasing in exponential rates because I bought lots. Another instance will be the 60 doll bin that we got in 2013. We bought this like big container of dolls for $25, having no idea how many dolls there were in there, and when we counted off, there was legit 60 dolls in that container, 60. And then most recently, at the beginning of this flea market season, we bought a suitcase of dolls for $25, and there were 86 Barbies, and that's crazy that you can get that many in one go. And if you think about it, by buying in bulk, I'm absorbing someone's entire collection into my own, and that's basically what my collection is. It's like a bunch of other people's collections that they didn't want anymore that I've absorbed into my own. And the last thing, and this is probably like the biggest factor, is that I keep everything. When I buy bins of dolls or people give me things, I keep them. There's very, very, very few things that I don't keep, and like quite literally the things that I don't keep are clone dolls that I get in lots, or things like gem dolls, or things like on that idea, like categories that I just flat out am not interested in. But usually if I get a random doll in a bin, I'll try her out. I'll see if I like her, and once they're part of my collection, they're part of my collection. I don't get rid of things. I keep duplicates. That's a huge, huge, huge part of having so many dolls. And there is nothing wrong if you want to get rid of stuff, that's fine. And I have gotten rid of things on a few occasions, but I have always regretted it. When I was a little kid, my parents had a yard sale, and I got rid of a bunch of dolls. They actually didn't sell at the yard sale, but my dad ended up giving them to a coworker's daughter. And then again, beginning of my resurgence back into dolls, we had another yard sale, and I got rid of a ton of dolls there too. Like, I hadn't even touched my dolls in 5 years, and I was getting rid of them. And I also gave away a few dolls when I was younger and when I first got back into collecting to like friends. But basically, I've not gotten rid of the majority of the dolls that I have gotten in my life. When you think about it, when there's like, almost 20 years of that, of not getting rid of dolls, there's going to be a ton of accumulation. If you're always like pruning your collection, you're never going to build a huge collection. Like, at some point you just have to like let it accumulate. And there's nothing wrong if you don't like duplicates or you only like to collect certain types of dolls, but that's the honesty of why I have so many. If you look at my Bratz collection, I have 8 2002 Strutting is Mean dolls. 8. Like, I don't know who needs 8 dolls like that are all the same, but I have them. I have 6 Malibu Barbies. I mean, we have like 3, 4, 5, 6 of some dolls in our collection. Even with American Girl, my sister has 4 Molly dolls. I have 3 Josephina dolls. I have 3 Samantha dolls. There's just a lot of duplicates. That's basically like fluff in my collection. I'm sure that there are people who have less dolls who probably have more impressive collections with a like wider variety of things, like people who might have, say, 400 Bratz dolls but have, 400 different Bratz dolls who are all in mint looking shape. That's the thing about having a really large collection like mine, if you approach it the same way I do, that it is harder to collect so many dolls if you only keep one of everything. Something you have to take into consideration too, like if you don't like having duplicates, then obviously the way I collect wouldn't work for you. And that's something I think a lot of people fail to realize when they compliment my doll collection, is that I do have a lot of duplicates, or a lot of like really junky dolls that I keep around. I keep things that I might otherwise not have collected if someone gives them to me. Like one of our flea market sellers gave us this clone doll. She's like a clone Cinderella doll. We call her Snowella because she looks like Snow White wearing Cinderella's dress. And if I had gotten that doll in a bin, I don't really like clone dolls. There's very few I keep because the cheap plastic makes me feel sick. I have a very sensitive sense of smell. I kept that doll, even though she wasn't something that I usually would keep. If people give me dolls that I already have, I keep them. And I think part of why I'm not against duplicates is just because when you grow up with a sister and you both like something, or you grow up with a sibling that's into the same thing as you, your parents are going to buy you 2 so you don't get jealous. So we got like 2 Nibbles horses, we would get 2 Holiday Singing Sister sets, we would get 2 Sun Colors Pocahontas dolls, 1 for each of us. So I just always had duplicates. And when you're a kid and you play with your dolls all the time and you don't know how to properly take care of them, you see the benefit in having 2. Like, my sister's dolls would sometimes look better than mine, or my dolls would look better than hers. So once one doll got ran ragged and there was nothing that could be done to make her look nice, or so we thought, there was a backup. Or, we use them as twins. So I've always enjoyed duplicates, and that is a very big part of having so many dolls, at least for me. I hope this video maybe gave you guys a little insight into my collection size and how it got this way. And if you are interested in having more dolls and collecting a lot, don't feel bad. I started out with a handful of dolls too. I didn't wake up one day and have this many. Literally, as a kid, my first doll was like a half-bald, naked, junky doll from the Salvation Army that my grandparents gave me, and me and my sister had, maybe 10 dolls put together that didn't even have clothes for all of them to wear. Like, everyone starts out somewhere. You start humble, and especially if you're younger and you're a kid and you don't make your own money and you don't have a say in how the money is being spent, it is harder to collect dolls. Especially for me as a kid, my parents gave me $2 a week in allowance, and it was very hard for me, someone who compulsively likes to shop, to save up money for dolls. So, it takes time, it takes patience, and it just takes dedication. Until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.